Hi everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about Azure Virtual Desktop custom image templates. So in AVDs, we have this custom image template now through which we can automate the creation of our gold images using which we create our Azure Virtual Desktop session host. So when we didn't have this, we used to create a VM, create any applications on it, change some settings, do sysprep and capture an image of that, save it in a image gallery, and using that we used to create VMs. The custom image template which we create through Azure Virtual Desktop Console is a JSON file, which is then passed over to the Azure Image Builder service, which creates some temporary resources like a resource group, a VM, a storage account, and we also specify the virtual network in which it must create the VM. So that VM is just a temporary VM. On that VM, it runs those scripts which are defined in the template or installs apps as well if they are defined in the template. And once everything is done, it syspreps that VM and uses that sysprep copy as a gold image. So how does Azure Image Builder gets access to our environment to create all these resources? So we will create a managed identity in Azure, and we'll provide that managed identity access to our subscription resource group to create the resources. And then we will define that managed identity in the Azure Image Builder service, so that Azure Image Builder service will make use of that managed identity, and using that it will create these resources. All the Microsoft scripts were on the GitHub, so they were on internet, so the VM would download them from the GitHub, and that's why it needs access to internet. And once the image has been created, either it can be saved to Azure Compute Gallery or managed image, and then it can be used in our AVD build process. In our demo, we will save it in Azure Compute Gallery. Azure Image Builder service also validates whatever URLs you have in the custom image template for scripts or application, whether they are accessible over the internet or not. So if they are not, then it fails the process. There could be a scenario where you have your application saved on a storage account, but that storage account is not publicly accessible. And if you specify that link in the custom image template for that application from the storage account, then the template would fail. Let's start the demo. Before we do anything, we'll have to meet some prerequisites. So this is a screenshot from TechNet. The first step would be to register some resource providers which are listed here. And then we will create a custom role which will have these permissions in it. We will create a managed identity and we will assign the managed identity that custom role, because that's how the managed identity will get access to provision the resources. Here I am in my subscription. To register the resource providers, I will go under resource providers and search for each resource provider which were there in that screenshot, and look if they are registered or not. So in my case, they are all registered. If they are not, then you will have to select them and click on register in your case. The next step is to create the custom role. For that, I will go under access control, click on add, and add a custom role. And we will only add the permissions which are required for our purpose. The first one is Microsoft Compute galleries read, and there are a few others. So I'll pause the video, add all of them, and come back. Here's the permissions which we need. So I'll just go ahead and create it. Let's create the managed identity now. So I'll search for managed identities. Create. I already have a resource group, so I'll select that. Naming it managed ID AVD. The identity has been created. Let's assign the identity permission. So I will assign it at resource group level. Here is the custom managed identity role. Then we'll assign this access to our managed identity. The managed identity got the access, and now the next step would be to either save the image is a managed image or save it in a Azure Compute Gallery. We'll create a Azure Compute Gallery so that once the image is built, it can be saved into an Azure Compute Gallery. So we'll do that quickly. Our gallery name is ACG1 and it's getting created now. So it has been created. Now let's create a VM image definition in it. It would be of type Windows. Security, I will leave it default. Trusted launch supported. Gen 2 VM. Publisher, I will say NA. For Windows SKU 11 version 0.0.1, region Australia East. Okay, I will wait for it to get created and then we'll create the custom image. Let's go to AVD now and create a custom image template. Location would be Australia East. Managed identity is the one which we created. Source image, so this would be from Microsoft, the base image. So we'll select Windows 11 multi-session 24H2. We can select one with 365 apps as well. Then the distribution target, either it could be managed image or compute gallery or both. We'll do Azure Compute Gallery, select the gallery which we created. Under run output name, we can give anything here. This is just to refer if we are creating multiple images. So this is used to identify or track those images built in Azure. Exclude from latest, no. Storage account type is fine. Build timeout, I have kept it 480 because I have seen it sometime it takes very long time. Staging group would be the resource group, which it would create temporarily to save the log file storage account. VNet, we only have one VNet with default subnet, but we can have another VNet as well. For example, if you have a VNet for AVDs, which is behind a firewall and doesn't allow some internet access, which is required to access those scripts or applications or other things, then you can use an isolated VNet as well and select it while you are building the image. Here comes the part where we define our custom image template, all the customization. So we'll click on add built-in scripts, and these are all built-in Microsoft options which we can select to customize our image. For example, we can install an additional language pack, set default OS language, whether we want to do a time zone redirection or not on the AVDs. So all these options, including FSLogic's profile path, whatever options we select here, they get added to that custom image template JSON file, which will have a link to PowerShell scripts for each of these options, which are stored on the GitHub. So we'll see those links in a short while. This is important, configure Windows optimizations. So these are the features which get optimized to be run on an AVD, like remove legacy IE, remove OneDrive, Edge, disk cleanup, local group policy, services, Windows Media Player. So select whatever you want here. Remove Apex packages if you want to remove any inbuilt bloatware. So you select all those things here and they will be removed from the image. If you want to add any Microsoft application like Visio or Project, select that, what version of it. Remove any Office application, like you don't want Word, Excel, Access. So select that here. So it will uninstall those application, apply Windows Update and save. So now you see it has created all these built-in scripts in order, and we can move them up and down, and it gives us these GitHub URLs. So let's open one of these URLs and see. This is the Windows optimization script. It takes those parameters which we have selected, and while it builds the image, it does those customization. Here is an option to add our own script. So if we want to add some of our script to do something, maybe install some applications, etc., then we can add it here, and we can also put it in an order on when we want it to run, but make sure that script is publicly accessible. In my next video, we will extend this custom image template to include our own apps, which will be installed during the build. We can go here and click on the JSON file, which it creates in the background. As if you remember in my initial presentation, there was a custom image template, which was JSON file, which is passed to the Azure Image Builder. So now when I go next and I'll save it, and once I run it, this is the JSON file which will be passed to the Azure Image Builder. This JSON file contains all the URLs and whatever options we have selected. Azure Image Builder will make use of the managed identity. Based on this JSON file, it will run and create the image for us. So let's go back to AVD's custom image templates. It has failed, so let's see why it has failed. Let's do some troubleshooting. Okay, it says that we do not have access to the VNet. So the managed identity which we used, it does not have access to the VNet, but we gave it all the access we thought is required as per the Microsoft prerequisites. So let's go ahead and give some access on the VNet as well. So this is the VNet. This is my VNet. I'll go under access and assign the role to my custom managed identity. Sorry, the role, I think it should be network contributor. because I think that would be sufficient for the managed identity to join the VM to the VNet. Let it save, and then let's go back to the Azure custom image template. There is no way for us to retry this, so there is a trick. What we'll do, we'll go to template, create new template. We'll name it temp2, but we will base it on an existing template, which is our temp1. I will have to provide the staging group name, the resource group. The rest of the things it will pull from the template one, all the customizations, and let's see if this gets created or not. Okay, this also got failed and different error. Staging resource group may be used in another image template. Okay, I know why, because I used staging one resource group name in both the templates. Let me create another template, and this time I will use a different name. So I deleted template one. Okay, here staging, I'll give it name staging 2. Okay, let's refresh it and see if template 3 gets created or not. The one is getting deleted. That's fine. Okay, the template 3 also failed. Let's see the error. Okay, this is a different one. Private link service network policy is not disabled for the subnet. Okay, let's see what this is and disable it. I'll delete template 2. Nothing works in the first go, but it's good that that's how you learn, because not everything is mentioned on TechNet. What was it? Private link service network policy. Where is it? There is no option here. Maybe it's not accessible from here. Maybe we have to use Azure CLI to disable it. Let it load and we'll do it from here. Azure CLI has loaded, and this is the command which we will run to disable the private link service network policies. Okay, it has been disabled. Let's quickly create temp4 based on template 3. We are lucky it got created, and let's delete the other one. So this is the resource group which it created. Now when we submit the template to Azure Image Builder service, it will create some temp resources here, and this storage account will have the logs in it. It hasn't created the log folder, but let's start the AVD build process, the image build process from template 4. Template 3 should get deleted pretty soon. So now we have started the image build process, and let's go back to the resource groups. Now very soon it will have few resources here. Okay, look, it has created some resources like disk, VNet, private link, network interface, but these all will get deleted after the image has been uploaded to the custom image gallery. We'll only left with the storage account under which we'll have logs. So it hasn't started building the logs. It will take few hours, so I'll pause the video and come back. This time the image build has failed within 10-15 minutes, and we can look at the error here. So the error says authorization error occurred during Azure Container Group operation. The error is for Microsoft Container Instance register action. Please ensure that the said provider is registered for your subscription. So initially we had few providers which we had to enable at the subscription level. And in the TechNet prereqs, this wasn't one of those. So if I search for this Microsoft container instance, so it is not registered, and obviously our managed identity has access on the resource group, and we created a custom role for it. It doesn't have access to register a provider. So let's register it now, and then we're gonna run again and see if another error comes up or not. But this is great. We are seeing the errors and we are fixing them on the way. Especially these things are not mentioned on the TechNet. This provider wasn't mentioned. So it's good to know. Wait for it to register, and then I will execute the custom image build template once again. Source provider has been registered, and now let's run the build again. This time we won't create the template because our template got created successfully in the fourth attempt. We'll just start the build. Now let's wait. It's been few minutes and it hasn't failed. It's still running. Let's look at the resource group. There are a lot of resources which got created and will get deleted once the image has been taken. We don't have logs as of now, but let's go to container instance, settings, containers, logs. So we can look at the logs here as well, which show us at what stage the build process is at. So it's uploading the install language packs.ps1, but it's creating the image. Let me show you a few more things. So if we go back to our resource group, in the resource group, we'll see the virtual machine. So this is the virtual machine, Windows 11 multi-session, on which it's installing all those scripts and everything, and in the end it will do a sysprep of it. If we go in the storage account under file shares, in this packer input we see all those scripts which were there on the GitHub, so it downloaded them here. Once it finishes the process, we will see the logs here. Let me pause the video and come back after some time once it's done. All right, so the process has finished and the image has been built. It's showing success. Now, if I go under the resource group, I won't see any resources apart from the storage account, which will have the logs for the whole process. So I could download the logs from here, view them in case there is any failure. So it tells me the root cause of that failure. I can go in the Azure Compute Gallery, and here I will see that the image has been uploaded. So here it is. And now if I go ahead and try to create a VM in the Azure Virtual Desktop, I could select the image. Here is the image, and now I can provision the AVDs using it. So this is how we create the custom image template. One more thing I will add here. Let's say tomorrow we want to modify it, then we will create a new template and we will select import from existing template, and we'll select our existing template. Next, staging group name, which would be the name of resource group. So we'll give it a name, a unique resource group name, which isn't being used already. There are all the scripts or the items which were there in the original template. And if I want, I can add new items here, or I can remove the items from here, and also change their order. We talked about this, add your own script. So here we can define our own custom scripts, which we will do in our next video, where we will install Chrome browser and maybe one or two more applications, and I will show you how to add them here and build them in our gold image. In the next demo, when I will deploy the applications, I will save them on the Azure storage account, the source files and the scripts to install them. And then while the build process, my VM will access that storage account, get the apps and install it, and put it on the gold image. The Azure Image Builder, it requires access to the Azure storage account over the internet to validate those URLs. But there is a way wherein I can make that storage account to be only accessible from internal resources like our private endpoint. So the VM can access it, but not the Azure Image Builder, because Azure Image Builder accesses resources over public IP. So I'll show you a trick on how we can save the files, the MSIs for our installers on private storage account and use that in our image build. And there is a use case, maybe there are some apps which we don't want to put on a public endpoint. So in that case, we can use an Azure storage account with private endpoint. So I hope you like this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.